Hello and welcome to a short video summary of the Hisense H65NU8700. You can read the actual review via the link in the description or by clicking the card at the top right of the video. The NU8700 is Hisense's mid-range Ultra HD 4K TV for 2017. It sits just below the NU9700 flagship model and just above their entry-level N6800. The TV itself uses a flat 4K VA panel. It has Edge LED backlighting. It includes local dimming and support for high dynamic range, specifically HDR10. The TV itself retails for £1,699, which is quite expensive for a Hisense TV, but it is a 65-inch model. And when you actually look at the television, you do feel like you're getting value for money because it's a beautifully designed TV. Yes, there are obvious influences of companies like Samsung, but I actually think that Hisense have created a TV of their own that really does have their own style, and I think looks really, really attractive. If you look at it from the front, for example, you can see there's no bezel, just a ½ centimetre border around the screen itself, and there's an attractive silver trim around the outer edge with a textured effect on either side, and the TV sits on a large and solid chrome silver stand. Nice to see a traditional stand for a change rather than having feet at either end, which means you can actually position the TV on a smaller surface. Although it is quite heavy, should bear that in mind, but there is 400 by 400 Visa brackets on the rear if you want to wall mount it as well. So as I say, an attractive looking TV from the front. There's also, if you look at the TV along the bottom, there is a forward firing speaker. So this TV actually sounds really good as well, which makes a nice change. If you look at the rear of the TV, you can see that the design ethos applies to the back as well as to the front. So you've got an attractive, clean, minimalist front with a silver stand, and at the back you've got a nice two-tone effect with black brushed metal on the top half and a glossy black finish on the bottom half. And like I say, I think this is genuinely an attractive TV, whatever direction you're looking at it from, and I think Hisense has done a great job in this sense. And it's also very well made, nice and solid, well engineered. In terms of the connections for this TV, well, they're all at the rear left as you're facing the screen. There's also a connector for the power cable at the rear right as you face the screen. In terms of the connections, a little bit disappointing because there are only 3 HDMI inputs. Even the N6800 had 4, so I'm not quite sure where the mid-range model drops an HDMI input. Of those 3 inputs, 2 of them support 4K 60p. They all support HDCP 2.2, but only 2 of them are full 4K 60p inputs. So you'll need to use those for things like your HDR sources in your Ultra HD Blu-ray player. Although if you're using a soundbar or an AVR, an AV receiver, then you won't necessarily make a difference if there's only 3 inputs, because you can use everything, put everything into your AVR and then into the TV itself. In terms of other connections, it has USB ports, of course. It's got built-in Wi-Fi, it's got a LAN cable, it's got all the legacy connections as well. In terms of controlling this TV, well, it uses the standard Hisense controller, which I really like. I think it's well designed. The black and silver design actually match the TV very nicely. It's comfortable to hold, has all the buttons sensibly placed, and they're easy to access with one hand, and you can control it with one thumb very happily. I think it's a really nice controller, and it works really well. In terms of the smart platform on this TV, well, it uses the standard Hisense platform, which has a central launcher bar. It's a pretty basic platform. There isn't very much there. You do have Freeview Play, then you can go in and select various apps. But the main thing is it has all the apps that you would want. So there are Netflix, Amazon, BBC iPlayer, all the TV catch-up services. Pretty much everything you could want in terms of video streaming services are on this TV, YouTube, of course, as well. So everything's there, and it's simple, it's easy to access. You know, it's not the flashiest platform, but it gets the job done, and that's the main thing. If you're a gamer, good news is that the input lag on this TV is 31 milliseconds, which is not the lowest we've measured this year, but certainly is low enough for even most hardcore gamers. I think that's pretty good news in terms of gaming. In terms of the performance of the television, well, out of the box, actually really impressive. It gave a very accurate picture out of the box. If you look at the grayscale, you can see that from a slight excess of red, actually it was a really accurate grayscale and a good gamma performance as well. And the areas were all below the visible threshold of 3. So out of the box, excellent. Easy to calibrate too. You can use a 2-point to bring red down slightly, and you had a really accurate grayscale. In terms of the color accuracy, equally as impressive. Out of the box, it was tracking really well, and once we calibrated, you can see the tracking is very impressive indeed. Yes, it's a little bit oversaturated at 100%, but if you look at 25, 50 and 75, you can see that the tracking for all the colors is really, really good. So an excellent performance both out of the box and in terms of the calibrated image for the Hisense there, so top mark for the Hisense. In terms of HDR performance though, not quite as impressive. As you can see from this graph, it doesn't track the PQOTF as well as we'd like, although I have to say that actually the tone mapping was quite effective. In testing with say 4,000 or 10,000 nit test patterns, it actually tone mapped it very accurately without clipping. So the tone mapping is better than it appears on that graph. In terms of the colour performance, it covers about 65% of Rec 2020 and about 95% of DCI-P3. The colour tracking for Rec 2020 wasn't as good as it could have been, and it also wasn't as good as it could have been with DCI-P3. We would like to have seen better colour accuracy there. The tracking was a bit off. However, when actually watching HDR content, as I say, the tone mapping was pretty good, and in fact the content didn't look too bad. The big issue really with this TV is it isn't that bright. We only measured it at 480 nits. Now originally this TV was supposed to be getting Ultra HD Premium certification, and obviously the reason it hasn't is because it isn't bright enough. But we were surprised it wasn't brighter than 480 nits. In terms of its overall performance though, as I say, with standard dynamic range content, really impressive. We didn't actually need to use the local dimming. We found the local dimming actually kind of manipulated the image a bit too much, and we preferred leaving it off. But with it off, the black levels were good thanks to the VA panel. The actual sort of backlight uniformity was pretty good too. A tiny bit of clouding, but overall fairly good. There was also a tiny bit of banding too when we were watching football, but generally it was quite impressive. And like I say, the black levels were good, the colour accuracy was excellent, and the video processing was good. And it actually delivered a really good looking picture with standard dynamic range content, so we're really pleased with that. In terms of HDR content, yes, it didn't look so good on the graphs. Yes, it isn't as bright as it could be, but as I did say, the tone mapping is very good, and in fact it delivered a pretty watchable HDR performance, although not the best we've ever seen, of course. Overall though, I think this is a great TV. It's got an accurate picture, great SDR performance, good motion handling. There are various ultra smooth motion features you can select, but actually for film-based content we definitely recommend leaving it off. But for sports-based content, the actual frame interpolation works very well, so you can try that. And it gives a passable HDR performance, although, as I say, not the best I've ever seen, but certainly the tone mapping itself did work very well, so that's a plus point there. So overall, I'm more than happy to award the Hisense H65NU8700 an AV Forum's recommended badge. If you've enjoyed this video, then please like and subscribe. And don't forget you can find more news, reviews, articles and videos like this at avforums.com, Europe's largest home entertainment community. Thanks for watching.